everybody, and welcome to Cause and Effect, a show about VTES. Today we are going to talk about tournament playing and how you prepare for them, and a bit of do's and don'ts. This, of course, depending on the upcoming EC. And then in part 2, we will break down a deck which many people consider a yardstick when it comes to deck building. And that's the Edward Vignes deck. And then, of course, we are going to present the winner of last week's challenge and challenge you guys anew. But before that, everyone, I would like to introduce my co-host, Isak Esbjörnsson Bjärmark. Say hello.
Hello.
And of course, Adam Esbjörnsson.
Sup?
Okay, so Adam, how has your VTES week been?
Yes, it's been good. I had a few quarter games, of course, this Wednesday, and today I've been sitting like almost all day optimizing my decks for the EC.
Okay. So how many decks will you bring?
I think I noted down at least 10 decks. I managed to get through 6 of them today.
Okay.
I have a few left still.
So a productive day.
Or,
yeah. Well, depends. Isak, how has your VTES week been?
It's been great. I played 3 games this Tuesday, and I managed to win 2 of them. Again, with my minion stealing tech still going forward. And I come to learn once again that Spirit Marionette is a ridiculously strong card.
Okay.
It really is.
Are you considering playing a Spirit Marionette on the EC?
That's confidential for now.
Anders, your webcam is messing up. You might need to restart it.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, so, but as Adam say, I'm starting to mentally prepare myself for this Thursday, going to Warsaw in Poland and trying to get my game on, so to speak. Scheduled a deck optimizing session with a friend of mine this Tuesday, so I'm starting to get those nerves when it comes to EC and such.
Is the cam better, Adam?
No, it's still loading right now.
Okay, we'll continue and go up. Yeah, my week has been none non-VTES for me. So I have nothing to report on that front.
Too bad. Anything else you have to report?
Yeah, I actually I've been to the initiation of a new Viking restaurant in Stockholm, which artist called archetype has started.
Okay.
I was there last Wednesday instead of playing VTES.
Do you eat virgins or what do you do?
I didn't eat any virgins because I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
But I did drink like mjöd, it's called. Mead, yeah. It tasted like beer someone had like threw up in a glass. It was horrible. But it was a good time otherwise.
Great.
Okay. Moving on. So today, on the first part here, we're going to talk about do's and don'ts when preparing for a big tournament. And I gave you guys some homework. Maybe we could put that up.
It's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, Isak, would you like to start by, I should explain, yeah. I gave these guys homework to list top 5 do's and don'ts before a tournament. So they have been working on their list all week long. Okay, Isak, go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously my list is to the left, and I have these 5 points. Should I just present them?
Do one or
two.
two.
Should I go into decks?
Yeah.
Okay, so bring a sideboard. This is a bit of a joke because sideboards are not allowed in VTES, but bringing like a stack of good cards or cards that you might feel that maybe you want to like last minute optimize your deck with is really good to have around. if you wake up in the middle of the night, the day before a tournament, and realize I really, really need another Pentix in that deck, then it's good to have another Pentix and just don't have to like run around all over, like for instance the EC, and try to ask some nice Polish guy if you have a spare Pentix, and I promise not to steal it, etc. So like bring a stack of like the power cards in abundance, and also some cards that are specific to your different decks that you might play. I think that's really helpful.
Which cards are like, what are you talking about when you say power cards? Is it just Pentix or Dreams? Or?
Yeah, Pentix, Dreams, Anarch Troublebreaker, like the staple master cards, maybe Villains, maybe an extra Giant's Blood, but also cards that you might get an impression of how the meta is, and especially during the EC, since it's a 3-day event, you might like to change your decks depending on what you saw the day before. So maybe you will want to play more Majesties, you want to play less Majesties, maybe you want to play more Unleashed Hell's Fury, maybe you want to play less. It's just depending on, like the most important part probably is like how much combat is it, but also how much block is it. Maybe have a few extra obfuscate stealth cards around, prove useful.
Okay. Adam, do you usually bring a sideboard to a big tournament?
Yeah, definitely. Most of them is like the sideboard you need are the cards are specific to the deck. Like if you want to include one extra Spirit Marionette, you have to bring one extra Spirit Marionette. They might be hard to borrow when you're not going to have them in other decks. So those kind of cards that I know is only used for that deck. I do it all the time.
Have you ever been to a tournament where you like wanted a card but you couldn't find it because you forgot to bring it?
No. The worst thing that's happened is that you at some point you realize you want an extra card and you can borrow someone from a friend. Or some of the cards. So nothing worse than that.
Okay. Well, good for you then. Then I see that you both guys put down research to local/national meta. Adam, would you like to bring us in on this point?
Well, I think most people are aware of that their meta have some tendencies, and this can even stretch to the national level. So if you're going to, like, say, the EC, for instance, now, the Polish meta is going to be overrepresented. So knowing what the Polish people are more likely to play is very useful. So what I normally do is I try to get into, like, the Polish have a Polish forum that only have Polish people. Well, no, everything's written in Polish. I entered their forum and start reading it. And the same with the French during the French, the same with the Spanish during the Mallorca EC. You just see what kind of decks they're playing and talking about.
Zach, how do you usually research local/national meta?
Yeah, there is like a two-part research, or maybe it's a 3-part research. That's the one thing that Adam talked about, like their national forums, but also like the actual winners of the tournament winning deck archive, delasonda.com. That's very useful because they are the actual winners. They might not be. It's a good complement to like reading the forums, anyways. And the third part, sorry, go ahead.
The winners of what? Like in some national tournaments or local or?
It's more like getting like a sense of what's popular and what performs well. So, for instance, Poland have had a lot of success with ally decks.
Okay.
And that leads me to conclude, maybe this is stretching it too far, but not as much stealth voting, maybe. Because like a stealth Ancil Empowerment or a stealth Anarchist Uprising really screws those decks over. And also that means that there are not that much presence and transmit deck if ally deck performs well.
Okay.
You can also see like the level of deck optimization. Like how optimized is a deck? You follow me?
Yeah.
So, like, if the best deck is not so optimized, then the deck that are worse, like the decks that didn't win, they're even less optimized, probably.
Okay. You usually like try to play a few casual games with other players from that country when you come there, or do you have time for that?
Usually I don't. And I don't think it would be very representative, because most people will hesitate to play their tournament decks during a casual game. Probably for two reasons. One, they don't want to get bored of the deck before they get to the tournament. And the other thing, I think, is being that they want to keep it secret.
Yeah, I actually agree a lot. You might fool yourself into believing that what you're seeing is what most people are playing, but that might not even be the case.
It seems like Anders having a connection issue.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get back soon enough. So.
Yeah, should just go on maybe. And the third thing I was talking about was the talking to other people that have been playing it in the hosting country. Maybe like people I know from the hosting country, or people that have been playing in that. So for this upcoming EC, maybe I want to talk to some guys that have been to Poland before, or even talk to some Polish persons and ask them how's the Polish meta, etc. To like try to get a third party's point of view of that particular meta.
Okay, I lost you guys for a moment. I'm back.
Yes, we continue without you. I just told the guys that you could ask a third party about the country's local meta.
Yeah.
So if I know someone who's been to Poland for this particular instance, I don't know anyone who's been playing in Poland that is not Polish, but if you have that opportunity, that could be provide another source of information.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Well then, moving on. Adam, you wrote bring multiple decks with different weaknesses and strengths.
Yeah.
Why?
Because when you get to the tournament and you start talk to people, and at some point you even manage the people are talking about their decks, you can actually get information at the spot. So having decks that are like, okay, this is my stealth speed deck, and then I have another deck, this is my wall deck, and this is my combat rush deck, and then you have three clearly different strategy kind of decks that you are prepared to play, that you have optimized to play. And then you can choose between which of these three is strongest for if you actually get any kind of information just before the tournament starts. So you can, so that's like a good thing to do.
Okay, so how much when you go to a tournament do you try to adapt your play and choose a different deck according to the information that you get?
It's
Adam, sorry, go on.
I do it mostly I just try and feel. Does this feel like reliable information? Because sometimes you might you only see one card from someone's deck and okay, that's not. It could mean anything. You don't want to rely on that. And then some other point, you might get some information that you're actually relying on. Like if you see 5 to 10 people are talking to each other and they mention something, and you that kind of information, you could put a lot of stock in. So it's very. I wouldn't say there's a degree that I always rely on information that I get at the spot.
Okay. So you said, how much do you use this kind of a spy game? Maybe you could call it. Really.
In reality, not at all. Not very much. I try to make a plan. The EC is a 3-day event, and then I try to decide. Last Chance or Legendary Vampire, I'm playing this. Day 1, I'm playing this. If I'm playing Day 2, I play that. Or if I'm playing First Chance, I play that. So I try to make a plan and already have it in my mind which decks I want to play and which day should they perform the best. Because you have to know that there are different goals in different tournaments. like the last chance, that is just score as high as you can. Try to go for the win. That's one of the bigger tournaments of the year. The day one, you should go for a more stable deck. Try to just get that maybe 1.5 or 1.5.5, whatever it's needed to get to day two. During day one event, you don't need to have like a high risk, high yield kind of deck. So I try to like deduce from which tournament and try to deduce what should I play, and use like the internet or web-based research I have done previously.
Okay. Yeah. Any comments on that, Adam?
No. Well, I agree with Isaac to a degree. I decide in advance which deck I want to play during the last chance, but I know that during the last chance I'll be getting so much information about how the Polish people are playing, or the EC attendants are playing, so that for day one and day two, or the first chance, depending on what I get to play, I'll be choosing those decks during the EC. But I have decided what I'm gonna play during the last chance.
Yeah, we usually joke about when we play like smaller tournaments that you should only bring like a one-day event. You should only bring one deck, because you always tend to choose the wrong one if you bring more.
Superstition. I think.
Yeah.
You don't want to have thought about two decks and then lost with one of them, but then you'll be thinking, what would have happened if I chose the other one? So
you always choose the wrong deck, always. Anyway, yeah. I'm not bitter. Okay, Isaac, you put down choose decks carefully and opt every deck that you bring to a tournament event.
Yeah, that was part of what I've already been talking about, like this. Trying to analyze what kind of tournament is it, how many is preparing, and what is my goal. Is my goal winning, or is my goal qualifying, or is my goal top 40? For those three are like the goals of the different tournaments. And optimize every deck beforehand. Even if you think that you're not going to play it, optimize it anyways, because you never know. You might wake up Saturday morning and it's like, hell, I really do need to play that deck. Too bad I didn't optimize it. So optimize every deck, and also it's like a training opportunity. Like trying to optimize the deck before the EC is like, the EC only happens once each year, and you need to like make the best of it. Like try to learn as much as you can, and try to get like the best possible position. If nothing else, for the next EC, so you get the more experience you can get from it, the better.
Yeah.
I agree every point. It's kind of, I have the same point written down. Optimize the decks.
Yeah.
And that's so important. Preparation is so much for a VTES tournament. You can't just... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What do you do when you optimize? Just we've used the word a lot.
Right, yeah. I have a term that I use quite often. I talk about modern decks, because one of the things to me that's most amazing about this game, like what makes it so great, is that I can bring up a deck that I chose, like optimized and played for a tournament 6 months ago. I can bring that deck up and I can look at the deck list and I can like, why did I play like this? This is stupid. But like 6 months ago, I thought that was really smart. So it's evolving the game all the time, and you need to there's always something new to figure out. And just that at some point someone thought this was the most optimized version of a deck doesn't mean that it still is. So you need to modernize your decks all the time, like continually modernize. Is this card still useful? Does this card fill the same use that it did 6 months ago? Yeah. That's kind of a big part of what I mean by optimizing decks. Making sure they're actually modern. They're still doing what they used to do. Or
So you readapt the deck for a newer, more updated meta, because everybody else is changing their decks, then you also need to change your deck. And I was going to say something else and I forgot about it. Go ahead, Mr. Host.
So there's something like, we could call it a lifespan that's a life expectancy, maybe, of a deck that you don't optimize. Because
they get worse over time. And also, when you get a fresh look at a deck list and you have had it in sleeves for 6 months or for a year or something, and you bring it out and you like organize it on your kitchen table and you try to look at it, and all of a sudden maybe you see 5 or 6 cards and you think, why in God's name are those here? And you just start to see cards that are very corner case. And usually corner case cards are not like tournament viable. They need to go. And you get to kill your darlings when you get a fresh look on an older deck.
Okay.
6 months is not old, but it could be enough to like reboot your perspective of the deck.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, moving on. Adam, you also brought down sleep and eat properly. Would you care to elaborate?
Well, VTES, like a VTES tournament, is if you plan to win it, it's 8 hours of playing and breaks between that. So it's most of the time it's around 10 to 11 hours you need to, like, from the start to the finish. And the most important part of that tournament is obviously the finals, which is where you're going to be the most tired. So it's really like a marathon to win or even play a tournament, a VTES tournament. You need to be on top of your game. You need to be like physically able to stay awake and focus. And that's not, you don't just do it. Eventually you'll be more tired, like, of course, 1 hour later you'll be more tired than the hour before. So you need to make sure that you last as long as possible. Eating and sleeping is how you do that, like physically. And you can start by preparing that the day before. Sleeping 8 hours, for instance, and eating well. Because quite often at tournaments, you're not guaranteed to be able to get the food you want. You might not even be able to eat like a whole meal. So eating properly is also good in preparation. Like if you wouldn't be able to eat properly during the tournament, at least you ate the day before.
Okay. Exactly. You think it's that important as well?
Yes, it's very important, especially when the finals comes, because then you have had 6 hours of play and maybe 8 hours of tournament in your back, and you sit down and you start the finals. And those are probably the 5 best guys during the tournament, or at least top 10, and they're probably top 50 in the world if you're playing at the EC. So your competition is the best of the best. And if you're not on top of your game, then you will make a few mistakes, and those are the mistakes that you lose on. So it's very, very important. Actually, we pushed this in Paris, the Swedish team, or at least the ones sleeping in our room, that we slept during the lunch breaks, because in Paris we had like a 2-hour lunch break, I think. So we took like 45 minutes, an hour of that, and just slept between rounds 2 and 3.
Power napping.
Okay. Well, but I mean, in smaller tournaments, you see Finns and other countrymen that are really drunk and still play. Does that happen in the ECs?
Drunkenness is like a part of the EC. You have to expect facing someone who maybe had a few too many.
That's mostly, I see it mostly during, like, after the second round, because then if a person lost the 2 previous rounds, and then during the third round they're like, okay, screw this, I'm not gonna, it doesn't even matter, I'll drink a few beers, have some fun. So the third round is most high risk of someone being drunk.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you counter it? How do you play against a drunk person? Do you have any tips on them? Or pointers?
Be articulate, don't be hostile. Like, because most likely they'll do mistakes that you can exploit. So you don't need to push your luck with them. You don't need to try to make deals and agitate someone, because the drunk person will normally make mistakes that you can exploit. Like either way. So just play your own game and focus on not making mistakes yourself, and you'll mostly win out, because alcohol makes you play worse.
Yeah. And the drunkenness is not that common. it's very common that you face guys that had a few beers. That's more or less like the average easy players have had a few beers, but you won't face like a really drunk guy. That happens very seldom. In that way, like the VTES player going to the EC is very not polite, but like well mannered. They drink enough, not too much.
Yeah, of course. No one is stupid drunk.
No. Okay. We don't have a problem with you guys drinking.
No, of course not. But if you want to like be real competitive, you should keep that in mind. If someone is drinking, what you can do to.
Yeah, of course. That's an advantage. If you're not drinking or only maybe have like one beer, and the other guy had like 4 or 5, then you have an advantage. It's hard to dispute.
Okay. Yeah, you have put down talk to people before and during the tournament event, you said.
Yeah. Adam talked a little bit about that, like the spy game.
Yeah.
Like that's one part of it. Like you get information. You can like if now we're talking about Poland because we're having the EC in Poland. So you could just walk up to a Polish guy and ask him, how's the Polish meta? And you probably get an honest answer. There's no reason for him or her to lie. But also the EC is a social event. So talk to people, get to know people, connect, and you might end up with friends that you will have for years ahead. So like talk to people, don't be shy. Talk to me. If you see me standing around.
Yeah, I would just like to add that this episode has now officially become a after-school special. Don't do drugs, don't drink alcohol, and make friends.
Remember, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. Okay. No, but of course. I mean, for real, you should talk to people. Adam, what do you feel about talking to people?
Yeah, it's great. And even if you want to be really competitive about it, talking to people about VTES, like getting a new person's perspective on how they think about the game makes you able, maybe it doesn't affect that particular tournament, but if you do it at every tournament you're at, talking to people about VTES, your understanding of the game will get deeper, of course. So talking to people about it, it's really good, I think.
And of course, making friends in other countries make you, you can sleep at their houses maybe when they have a big tournament and such. We have such a great VTES community that we can all.
Yeah. That's like the friendship part I was trying to. But that's like the great part. The what's it called?
Hospitality.
Yeah, the hospitality of the VTES players.
And also makes like if you're making friends at the place, you can invite them back to your country for your national competition. Yeah. So I think if we're all like talking a bit more, then more of us will be traveling, and it makes like the game better to have foreign players at the event, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna take your last one, Isak, and then we'll talk about Adam's after that, because he has discussed all these points with someone. Anyway, so set yourself to high standards, but don't start self-loathing if you don't reach them.
I say I've misspelled self. No, I haven't.
I corrected.
Maybe I mispronounced. Okay, go.
Yeah, so this is obviously if you want to play competitively. If you're just going to the EC, playing tournaments and enjoying VTES, don't. Listen to this. But set yourself a high standard. Like, set goals. Like, I'm gonna try my very best to win this tournament. Pick the best deck that you know. Optimize it. Set yourself into the mindset of playing that deck. Try to play it as many times as you can before the tournament. And, like, really go for it. Like, every single pool of damage and every single pool gain during a tournament counts. So really do your very best to play the best and make sure that everybody follows the rules, and you yourself, of course, follow the rules. But when you end up losing the tournament, and trust me, you will lose the tournament, because we will only have like 4 winners or 5 winners during a 3-day event. So those 5 guys will be very, very happy and deserving of the wins. But you probably lose. Don't start self-loathing. Don't start self-hating. It's like, just try to see as objectively as you can on your own play, and try to analyze it and see, was it my fault? Was it my cross-table ally's fault? Was it the seating's fault? Did I choose the wrong deck? Try to get an objective view of it as possible.
Okay. Adam, do you self-load yourself a lot in tournaments?
Yeah, I scold myself so much for technical mistakes, and I'm not. I might think. I actually think this is personal. I think it helps me quite a lot that I really, maybe not strategical mistakes, but technical mistakes. I really blame myself for. I'm not as extreme as Isaac. I think a certain amount of self-loathing is healthy. but
I mean, if I'm
that's self-criticism, not self-loathing.
When I make a mistake in a tournament, I really hate myself.
Yeah, I don't mean self-criticism. I mean irrational, loathing, actually feeling bad.
Yeah, I do.
About it, so that you condition yourself to not make such mistakes again. But something that I think is more interesting is the thing that I talked about, setting yourself to high standards. I find that if you have mentally decided that if you want to win a tournament, or if you put the goal that you want to end up in the finals, you actually don't. It's easier to focus on the game for as long as a VTES tournament is. You actually need to want to win to be able to win.
Yeah, I believe we have something that we usually discuss amongst ourselves that we call the blicken. You can see it in the eyes of a few players when you sit down at the table.
The killer instinct.
The killer instinct. This person is serious,
Yeah. Okay. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Okay. So Adam, quick, discuss all of the above with someone. What do you mean?
All these, I was referring to my points, but I'm sure they go for Isaac as well. How you, your research of a meta, you should talk to someone about your conclusions. You should talk to someone about which decks you bring, and you should talk to someone how you plan to optimize your deck. And even the sleeping and eating, you can talk to someone about what you're going to do. Because, at least for me, personally, if I put things into Word, it's easier to criticize my reasoning or the information I have. Some things are fine in your head, but when you put them into words, they sound really stupid. And then you realize, oh shit, I can't do that. That's not going to work.
How do you feel about talking to people about your decks that you're going to play in the tournament? Do you reveal your deck list to friends so they can be able to criticize it, or how do you go about it?
I don't have a problem with it directly. Of course, it's you shouldn't give too many people the advantage of knowing what you're going to play. But say at the big tournament, you could talk to your friends that you're going to the big tournament with, from your playgroup or friends you know there, as long as you limit them to just a few people. Because as I said, the talking, putting your thoughts into word, is the process that you need to get at, and you can do that with anyone.
Yeah, I think you need to weigh the pros and cons of secretivity against getting other people's perspective on what you do. How do you feel about that, Isaac?
I don't feel there's much to gain in secrecy. I really, if you think it's like putting your own geniusness above the geniusness of a play group or a community of players. You will have something in that deck that you have optimized and you're 100% sure this is the best possible version of this deck. Something in this deck is wrong, and someone else will have the ability to see what's wrong. In 9 cases out of 10. So bringing that deck list to another person and asking for their point of view could really help your deck. Maybe you've totally forgot about some card. I don't have a good example here. Just from my experience, there's not much to gain in secrecy.
Yeah, and especially if you wanna talk about it with someone that's a good player, you normally trust good players to be able to see through you anyway during the tournament.
Yeah.
It's like, if I want to talk to one of the best VTES players in the world about my deck and try to get his opinions on them, he might say something really smart, and...
Or her.
Or her, yes, sorry. Him or her. And this player would have, like, he would have seen through your deck anyway.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been secret to him or her. So you haven't lost anything, and you have gained like one extra card. That's really good.
Yeah. And I would like to add as well, if you have a deck that would lose because someone knows the deck list, like any one player at the tournament, you're probably going to lose anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the trick. Well, anyway, I thought we would conclude part one with our section of wild speculation about what's going to happen at the
psychological mumbo-jumbo.
Yeah. Okay, so we are now entering the world of speculation and leaving facts behind. Maybe we did that at the beginning of the show, I don't know. Okay, so what do you think about the meta, Isaac?
As I said, this is of course from like the Swedish perspective, but if I want to categorize other nations' meta game, the three nations that I think is the strongest is Sweden, obviously, and France, and Poland. If you check these nations and their deck lists out, they're usually very optimized. They're very they play archetypes, like tried and true archetypes, and it seems like they've really done a really good job with the deck list. They're optimized, and it's also obvious that they take influences from different parts of the world and try to change their decks to make the best deck possible, not to make like the most unique deck. So that's what was your question? Something about the meta?
Yeah, but that was a good. Anyway.
Okay, then I was spot on. So that's like the Polish meta is probably one of the best in the world, at least from my point of view. Like allies, power bleed, Moss, not maybe as much for monster decks, but those they have some. It's really sleazy if you look at the tournament winning deck archive. So.
Okay. Yeah. Adam, what do you expect from Poland?
When I'm trying to analyze the meta, I normally try to some of the things I try to think about is like what Isaac talked about, how good the decks are overall, how optimized they are. Are they slimmed, or are everyone's playing 90 cards? That's one of the things. And then it's just like a few things that are bigger strategically. Like if someone is playing, like a meta is playing a lot of allies, it changes a given VTES table quite a lot if someone is playing allies. It's like enforcement gets so much stronger, whatever. Like allies is a big one, and also how big capacity vampires everyone is playing. That's a thing that I normally try to measure as well. So, and then that also changes the table quite a lot, depending on how big cap vampires. And then there was something else, like how much toolbox kind of decks the meta has. If it's lots of archetypes or if it's lots of toolbox decks. And
okay, so do you have anything more to add?
Yeah, the question was how I felt about Poland. Yeah. I was going to get to that. It seems like quite like a mid-cap, quite a lot of mid-cap decks with a fair amount of both allies and toolbox. No, not a like overwhelming amount, but quite a lot of like area mains and a fair amount of ally decks. But the thing I'm afraid of course, is that they're actually optimized a lot. Both of them are they're focused.
Okay, so what kind of decks do you bring to that meta? Like quick on them?
To beat another optimized deck, I think you need to play a focus deck. Like, if everyone is playing Toolbox, and I'm like everyone else is playing like focus Toolbox decks, and I'm playing a focus Toolbox deck, it's like a 5-sided dice. Who wins?
Okay.
So I need something like strategically sound that I can do at a table. Like, I know that I can do this. So versus optimized people, I find that you kind of need to choose a focus strategy, like a bleed or block or rush, and stick to like something focused.
Isaac?
I agree with Adam. If you want to beat good toolbox decks or toolboxy decks, you need to have a focus deck yourself. Maybe entrancement is the way to go, but maybe by saying this, I will make sure that no Polish guy is playing allies. So it's one of those prophecies that. So I was maybe boats also.
But entrancement is also fine. You can bleed with it. Haven't we talked about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We have talked about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well you guys know the national scene, but would you care to make a wager on who's like 3 people that are going to the finals? Discuss among yourselves.
I think there's a Polish guy. Like, at some point, it's inevitable that some Polish person wins some tournament, because there are going to be so much more than everyone else, Polish people there.
Yeah.
And I think his name is supposed to be pronounced Marcin, but it's anglified to Martin. Vargas. I don't know.
Very strong player.
Yeah, he's like one of the best Polish people has to offer. So yeah, I think a Polish person win, and if a Polish person win, it's more likely that it's Marcin than anyone else.
Yeah. Okay. I've used Thomas's.
Yeah, they have a lot of Thomas's. Well, they do.
That have performed well. So, but you have your usual suspects. Will not have any Erik Torstensson this year, but we have Hugh Angsising, Ben Thiel,
Will Orion
Errol.
Oh, Errol is good, yeah. But will Orion be there, do you know? No.
Orion, no. As far as I know, he won't.
French pronounce.
Orion.
Well. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I have to apologize. That was horrible. Okay.
So the usual suspects, of course. Adam is also a good bet.
No. Don't put me out like that. Yeah, Isaac is a good bet. He's gonna win the whole thing. All 3 of them.
Okay.
but I don't even.
Okay.
Sorry.
You would like to summarize what we've been talking about? We have said a lot of strange things about tournaments and made some good pointers. Anyway, do you have any last thoughts on what we have said, Isaac?
No, but I'd love to hear from the audience. If you have anything you'd like to add in like the lists of preparations that's good to have or do.
Yeah, okay. Adam?
No, I agree with Isaac. That would be fun to see.
Yeah, how are you guys preparing for big tournaments? Is the question. You can just email us or Facebook us or anything like that. Okay, so this is the end of part 1. Next part we'll be talking about Edward Vignes, the archetype deck is very strong, and then we'll of course announce the winner of last week's challenge and challenge you guys anew. So stay tuned for part 2.